Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I've got 3 shows today and a couple more later this week and several more next week. But all these episodes that I record live stream, they come out every Tuesday and Thursday on the podcast. So you can just tune in at bizbookpublishinghub.com to hear the latest audio version of these live streams. Without any further delay, let me introduce this week's program. You've finished your manuscript and you're ready to see your book in readers' hands. It's an incredible milestone. But here's the truth. Publishing your book is not the end of your journey. It's really a new beginning. While getting your book into print or onto an e-reader is rewarding, it's only one phase of your journey as an author. Marketing your book and building connections with readers is where the real work starts. It's about reaching the right audience, building relationships, and creating an ongoing impact. This is why I work with entrepreneurs to develop strategic book launch plans. Together, we'll identify your ideal readers and craft a roadmap to engage them from day one of your book launch and beyond. With a mix of virtual launch events, personalized outreach, and targeted content, I'll help you make sure your book becomes a tool for business growth, not just a single product. If you're looking for guidance in your journey, I invite you to schedule a complimentary 30-minute book launch brainstorming session. Let's talk about how you can leverage your book to reach more people, grow your influence, and achieve your business goals. Complete the form at robbiesamuels.com/book launch support to get started. Before we turn to today's panel discussion, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Today's panelists will share their experiences with marketing their business books and discuss what worked, what didn't, and what they learned along the way. With us is Biba Pédron, wrote MDR, The Winning Formula for a Successful Life. Luck does not exist, you create. This book will show you and even prove to you that anything is indeed possible, even your wildest dreams. Nothing is impossible. Helene Cahen is the author of Fire Up Innovation, Sparking and Sustaining Innovation Teams. She's also a publisher and one of the BizBook Publishing Hub's founding partners. She's an innovation expert passionate about helping others unlock their creative potential and tackle team challenges. Robert Aguilar wrote, Forget What You Know About Strategy, The Hazards of Strategic Planning, a powerful guide for senior leaders seeking to master strategy formulation and execution, offering real-world insights to avoid pitfalls and drive transformative change in today's fast-paced business landscape. And with that, I'm going to turn us over to the first question. Biba, I'd love you to share with all of us who you wrote your book for, who is the intended audience, and welcome.
Hi, thank you very much for the invitation for the second time. Thank you so much. My book is mainly about mindset, and I wrote it for people. I have it in French and in English, and I wrote it for people who think that, they were born with a way to do things, and they don't think that everything is possible. And part of the book is my story, but not only other people's story, to show you that whatever happened in your life, you can turn things. And then you can become stronger with your story, even if it's a very difficult story, if you have a lot of obstacles, and then you can do whatever you want. And I prove of my life that, we can get whatever we want. And that's what I say, the change doesn't exist, you create it. And I always say that there's a big difference between what you want and what you really want. So it's really for people who may not know that it's possible, who may not have the right environment, who are positive enough and who have a positive mindset. But when you really want something, you can have as many obstacles as you want. You know what you want and you get there. And you don't let other people and the negative people tell you that it's not possible. So that's mainly for the people who want something and for people who don't even know that it's possible, but it's like there's another world out there and people can help you to do whatever you want and do whatever you want.
It must be so interesting because you're marketing to an audience that may not even fully realize that what you're offering them is in the realm of possibility. So I'll come back to you later to talk about how you find those folks and what's the sort of invitation into your world. Helene, let me come over to you to talk about the intended reader for your book.
Yeah, hi, Robbie. I'm very excited to be here today. So my readers is really people, whether they are management, executive, or even team members working on innovation projects, which really mean working on changing something in the organization. It might not have the title of innovation, but it's all about change. And what I really want to help those readers is to understand once the principle behind creativity and innovation, the mindsets behind it, and kind of connected to Biba's book. And then what do you do with it? So it's both grounded on the principles, but also it's very practical. So there is tips, there is stories, there is experiences, and there is practices that you can do, because I believe that innovation is better learned by doing rather than just reading.
Is there a particular industry that you have been working in that this has really resonated?
Actually, it's the nice thing is the principle are really universal. The principle of how you solve problems as human, we solve it in any industry. So I work from tech to fashion to packaged good to nonprofit, and this applies with maybe a little tweak in the vocabulary, but the principle are the same.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Robert, let's have you join the conversation and share a little bit about the audience that you had in mind for your book.
Yeah, thank you, Robbie. Appreciate it. So the book was mainly written for one of two groups. So the first one is for those managers at whatever levels, really whatever industry, are finding themselves in the crossroads of writing, implementing, and making strategy and strategic change a reality. And so if you're relatively new to strategy, this book is really written for you. Again, in any type of industry, we find that strategy is a very big word, and it should be. It's appropriate. It has very far-reaching, or it should have very far-reaching effects on the organizational life. So the book is written for that person that may be the first couple years into strategy or about to start it. And this kind of provides a roadmap for how to treat it, how to think about it, and then how to implement it. The second group are those that have maybe been practitioners of strategic change in the past for a number of years, but perhaps they're finding that the organizational climate, the economic environment, all these different dynamic factors are making things interesting. And so, previous paradigms and models of strategy aren't really effective. So they're looking for something that makes a strategy a little bit more robust, something that can have traction given the current, climate.
And Robert, this is your first book?
It is.
I'm curious to hear a little bit about why you wrote it. And in particular, I'm always curious, I'll ask this also the other two panelists, but when you're first getting started writing your very first book, I want to know what you thought at that point. Maybe it's changed since then, but what you thought at that point were the measures of success that you would be tracking. Like, what were the metrics that would tell you you did it? This book was successful. Was the goal just to get it published? Was there a goal around sales or reviews or business? Like, how were you initially conceiving of the purpose of this book and how it would be successful?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Robbie. So really, we are a relatively new company. We've been in business for a couple, 3 years, but I'm also a veteran of the change management, project management, strategic initiative, kind of part of a managerial team within an organization, mostly aerospace and defense, military as well. And so having been in the seat, as they say, of being responsible for strategic initiatives, both the planning and the implementation and all that connecting between what the plan is and what the implementation and the outcome is, was definitely challenging for me. And so what I wanted to do is really just provide something for someone that is in a similar role. What is it that having had cut my teeth doing it for several years, what should they know? What would I go back to, me 20 years ago, or to that individual that's starting in this managerial journey of strategy? What are good takeaways that I went through, felt the pain of, and came out the other side? What are those? And so really, Robbie, the metric of success for me was just, did I enumerate those? Did I identify all the lessons learned that I took across these past 20 plus years and put them in a pragmatic, step-by-step, easy to understand, quick, kind of effective takeaway manner, so that the practitioner can really take from it as quickly as possible.
So is the goal for you, Robert, to have people read the book, realize they can't probably do this on their own as much as they maybe some of them will want to or will try to, but they'll realize they could work with your company? Is it really to attract business?
It is ultimately it is. It's hey, New Beacon Consulting. We are experts in the realm of strategy, its development and implementation, and anything that is a change initiative. And so we're experts in change management, strategic management, and as it happens, you implement many of those through project management, right? So it's this 3-tiered approach that we are experts at, and we realize that it really does take a team. Someone that's been there, someone seeing the ugly things that can happen and pop up and help you plan for that so that you stay on track and you make that strategic change a reality.
Thank you. Biba, let's come over to you. This is the first book that we're talking about, but I understand you've got another one in the works.
Well, actually, I just launched the book number 10. So
right, number 10. That's right.
Yeah, number 10.
At the beginning of this call. I knew that your new book coming out. I lost track of the number. My gosh.
The new one is in French. This is number 10. I published the very first book in 2006. And the reason why I published it, to answer the question that you had to Robert, at the time, because it was my first one, and I pretty much did every mistake that we do when we do a first book, especially because at the time we didn't have all the coaching and everything. But the reason why I did it is because at the time I had like kind of 2 businesses, and I had the feeling that in one business was for the Americans, the other one was for the French. And I had the feeling that people didn't understand exactly what I offer. So it was like a big brochure when I did the first one, to say, okay, I can help you. I was organizing networking events at the time in New York, and I was helping French people to start a business in the US on the other side. But I say, I have the feeling that some use only one piece here and one piece here when I can offer you a lot more. So the very first one was really for people to understand everything that I was doing. And of course, a book is a great marketing book. So I use it as a marketing tool, and I use it for that. The last 4 books that I published, including the one you mentioned, MDR, The Winning Formula for a Successful Life, it's more about mindset. Before it was more about marketing. And the reason why I wrote them, and the last 3 actually are collaborative books, and I bring usually between 15 and 30 women to write with me and to share their story in order to impact. And the subtitle of the series of the last 3 is Inspire, Influence, Impact. Because it goes with the same way as the one that I wrote about mindset, is to show people that, yes, you can do whatever you want in life, and to show, especially in the French market, that a woman entrepreneur can do a lot of things. And most of them are in the last 3 books. They never wrote a book before. Most of the time, they never spoke in publics. And then I push them, because I teach women to grow the visibility, to grow the business. So the book is an excellent way for them to push, to change their mindset, and to show how with the new mindset they can help other people, and how we all can impact a lot more people.
I mean, clearly writing books has worked for you, or you wouldn't keep writing books. So I'll come back to you and ask you about some of the doors that have opened because of these books. But let's go over to Helene. Helene, is this the first book, or is this part of a series as well?
This is my first book, thinking about the series, but I'm not sure. My intention when I wrote the book, the first was a challenge to myself. Like, one thing is, like, I thought I want to write a book, but I feel a lot of people do that. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And also that was a COVID time, so it was a perfect time to have that. The other challenge was, how do I explain what I do and how I can be of help, or what I learn? And so it was also to share and give back to people that couldn't work with me as a client. And I have a lot of people that say, I read the book and that's really helping me thinking about things differently, or I wish I had that book 10 years ago in that role, or things like that. So it's that giving and sharing to a broader audience that you can just as a consultant. And when I wrote the book, I was not thinking much more further to marketing. I thought about writing the book, and then our book was ready, and I'm like, okay, what do I do for marketing? And today I would say the book is a way to build credibility, to share what I know, and so people kind of have a better understanding. And it's building the expertise, and kind of it forces me to continue thinking about it. I've been on a lot of podcasts, writing articles, so it forced me to get this topic that I love and passionate about kind of upfront for myself and in a way that is shareable with others.
I think that first book for everybody is really the thing that we know a lot about, and we want people to know that we know a lot about. Like that idea that it's an expanded brochure. I think that makes sense. Figuring how to market that, having goals beyond just publishing. It's hard because writing a book, the goal, the finish line is publishing. Because you can't see past that, as Helene, you just said, you can't think about the marketing until all of a sudden you have a book, and now you're like, oh, I need a you're like, what's the marketing plan here? And Helene, you've done something really well. You have a lot of reviews in your book, and I think anybody who has got more than 20 written reviews, there's the ratings, the star ratings, and then there's the written reviews. People do not have to actually buy your book to leave a star rating, and they don't have to write anything. So I always look at the sort of number of reviews and ratings and how they fit together, like what's the percentage, and see how close that is. So you've got 41 total ratings and 39 written reviews. That means that you made a real effort. So I'm kind of curious,
Yes,
Helene. You said, oh, I didn't really have a big marketing plan. Well, clearly you had a plan around reviews, because they don't happen by accident. They're a lot of work. So was that part of a launch process? Was that something that happened sort of after the book was out for a little bit? How have you approached these reviews, and who were
it
the
was
people?
part of the launch process first, because when I published my book, I sent it to friends, family, connections, and I asked people to, if they read the book, please put a review. And I remind people to do it, which is hard. And I'm the same. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to write a review for that book, but I just don't take the time. It's just hard. So it's a little bit of a chase. So that was definitely part of the launch, because I know it was so important. And then participating in other initiatives, that the one that we are doing together, Robbie, we can really help. Because when you do a promotion for your book, and so a lot of people can buy your book at the same time, that's also a time that you can start having more reviews.
Yes. Actually, something I always try to remind the authors who sign up for the Kindle Cross promotion, which I met all of you because you're part of the Black Friday Kindle Cross promotion that we're doing. And for me, I think that when you're discounting your book to 99 cents, it's a great opportunity to reach back out to the people in your network who you thought were interested in helping you, or maybe had set the intention to write a review, and go back and say, oh, hey, by the way, the book's for 99 cents. Can you get the review up before the campaign kicks off, just to make the book look a little better during that campaign period? Excuse me. So yes, I do think this is a time period. I actually left, I said a special video for you, a special video message for you that I sent to everyone. And I was curious to see how many people were actually going to open it. So the people who opened it, the message was, use this as a chance to get reviews on your book. So I got a couple of nice replies to that. People like, I watched your video. What a good idea. Yes. So, if the book is 99 cents for a period of time, a couple times a year, it is an opportunity for you to get it out to folks. It's just much easier. I just got asked this morning if I would write a review for a book, and I went and looked, and the Kindle is $9.99, and I said, "Are you planning to lower it?" I was like, I want to support you. I'm kind of interested in your topic, but it's not like my main consideration. So she was like, "Oh, I wasn't going to do it. I was thinking it would cheapen the book." And I just want to say, the goal here is to get your book in people's hands. If it's the right person's hands, you're going to get hired, hopefully, like Robert's. Robert's aim in writing this book isn't to make a lot of money off the book. It's to get it in front of the right people. So if you can focus on getting reviews from the right people, then you're doing the business owner role, right? You're having conversations with prospects and referral partners. And Helene, I'm curious, as the books continue to be out, because now it's still getting reviews. I know that some of it was through the Prime Day promotion. You got a few more reviews, but do you still have a little list of people that had waved their hand and said, I'd help you, that you go back to now and again? Are there some folks kind of?
I haven't gone back to the list, but I was at a conference recently, and the book was actually sold at the conference. And so I would the book, I'd signed my book to a few people that bought it. And I also say, please post a review. So just kind of remind me what you can do for me is helping me post a short review. It doesn't have to be long. That's the thing. It can be a sentence or two, but just to acknowledge what the benefit from reading your book.
Now, Biba, last time you were on, we talked about this, and you had not focused on Amazon because you were doing other kind of marketing. And during that, I actually have a great clip of you going, I think I'm going to change my mind about this. I think I should probably focus on this next time. So you just mentioned you have another book coming out. Congratulations on that. Have you changed that? Is this review collection now part of your process?
Yeah, and you were in my mind when I was launching the book. I have to do this, and actually included it. And now I'm asking people really to, especially in the period of the launch, we do the Kindle for $3.99. So it's the same thing. I'm asking people, you bought the Kindle, so please go to put the review. And then for the other one, the MDR book, since it's part of the Kindle promotion for the Black Friday, it's the same thing. I said I was supposed to do it. I never had the opportunity to do it, but I said for these 3 days events, that's the best time. And, as you just said, the Kindle will be for 99 cents for a period of time. So I said, I'm including it in the book launch, the new one. And for the other one is during the Black Friday, it's a great opportunity. Last time we did the show, but the events was already gone, but I said, now I have in the communication, I will ask people, and now it's in my head and you in my head for every books to ask people. And probably if it works well in the book, in the new book launch and in the Black Friday promotion, I will do an event on my other books and ask the same thing for people, even if I have to, as you do, change the price of the Kindle for a period of time, whether it's Christmas or whatever, in the summer, it's spring, we can use every opportunity. But it's a great way, because if there's not a specific action or promotion, people won't do it. If we have like a 3-day window, that's the best period to do it, since we communicate a lot about it and people want to help you, so they will reply better. And I will ask all of the people in my mastermind to do a review. So
yes, I also get asked to do a lot of reviews because I'm always telling people how important it is. I used to teach fundraising. This is a less difficult thing. I used to teach fundraising, and I knew I had done a good job when someone in the class would raise their hand and pitch me to donate to their cause. And I was like, oh, I have a small amount of money that I've set aside for that answer. Like I know that's coming. So now this is happening again, but it's with reviews. So a couple of things that I want to just add to what Biba just said. So I would suggest give people a couple of weeks that they would buy the review and leave the review by. So if your book is discounted as we're getting ready for the campaign, send your own list. Hey, by the way, my book's discounted. I'm getting ready for this campaign. Could you help by getting a review on by the launch, like the campaign date, basically? So I had someone ask me, and they were like, in the next month or so. And I'm like, that's a very vague request. Like, I'm just gonna lose track of this. Like, is there a date by which you want this done? Now, here's the thing: we're not all gonna get things done. Let's say you say by the end of the month, like it's a couple weeks away. Well, not everyone's gonna do it, but that's okay. You can then reach back and say, oh, you know what? If you can get it done this week, meaning now a third week, that would be great too. And so you can slightly extend it, and you can do that again, even one more time. If the overall goal is you get the reviews up by 4 weeks, you could kind of coax people along. But some people really need that time-bound focus. Now, Robert, your book just came out. It's only a couple months old. I'm curious, how you've thought about the launch piece. And getting reviews, and like, what's been your thought process about that?
Yeah, thanks, Robbie. So given that it's my first book, I didn't have a pipeline or network of people set up for all of the reviews. So really, I've been dependent upon, publisher and editor who's been helping me, Linda Popke and team. And so she's been really the one coaching me, saying, hey, you really need to be thinking about who this would go out to. So given that assignment, it's it's realizing that writing the book is just like step one. The second step is really, and arguably one of the more significant ones, is actually getting it out there to the right folks to get it reviewed. So working with Linda to set up a network. Okay, who do I really want to review this? Who's within my network, with family and friends, who would really have a understanding of what it is that I'm trying to communicate. And so we've been setting that up over the last 3 weeks, getting all the campaign ready so that when it's no kidding out there and we do the sale price, I can start getting those reviews. So it's really been a grassroots effort with Linda helping me along develop that. and get insight to, hey, you really want to get this reviewed as quickly as possible. So that's been a learning process. It's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely generated a lot of conversations with people that I didn't think we would ever have, frankly, even folks that I've known for 10, 20 years. Now that they see that, hey, you've actually written a book, let's talk a little bit about that. That's interesting. And it takes on a new life and a new kind of character to the relationship.
I want to give a shout out to Linda Popke, your editor. She was the editor for my last 2 books. She's excellent. She's also one of the founding hub partners for BizBook Publishing Hub. And I'm grateful that she joined the hub. We have a lot of experts like her helping entrepreneurs become successful authors. You can go to bizbookpublishinghub.com to find her and all these other great people. And what I also want to say is, when you're thinking about Robert and Biba and everyone else, who to reach out to for reviews, our inclination is to reach out to friends and family and neighbors, but make sure you have at least 2/3 of the people on your list are people who could hire you, who have a budget, have a need and desire to solve the problem that you are addressing in your book, or could get you in front of or introduce you to that community of people. So either they have the right audience for you and they're a good referral partner, or they themselves are a good prospect, because that's how we build the pipeline. So the reviews are important, but when I work with authors, I aim to get them 50 or more Amazon reviews, but it's really about the system that we have to set up in order for that to happen. It starts with them coming up with a list of hundreds of likely prospects and referral partners to invite onto the launch team. And I have a whole process to help them figure that out. It could be their LinkedIn list, their Facebook list, their email list. It could be any list they want. Just remember that no matter how big or small your subscriber list is for your business, your network is always bigger. And what you just said, Robert, about the conversations that happen, it's really is amazing. But as a business owner, if you're able to, over a couple of months period, have a lot of intentional conversations with your prospects and referral partners, that's how you're building the pipeline, particularly if you have a good sense of how this book connects in with the business, which is actually something I wanted to hear a little bit more about, because it sounds like some of you have that more tightly connected, like as this book sells. So Helene, I'm going to come back to you for this question. As people are reading your book and they're like, oh yeah, I need this, is it really obvious how they get in touch with you and how it connects back to your other offers? Is that sort of clearly in there, or is this something, because it was your first book, you didn't have mapped out quite as tightly?
Well, I thought about it really clearly, because what I did is I had an old website. I have an old name for my business. And when I launched the book, I was very conscious of there's synergy here. So my business is now called Fire Up Innovation Consulting. There's a book page, which is part of my integrated website. And so the book is part of what I do. And so the visual and the graphic is all integrated. So I use the same orange that you have on the book title for so there was a very conscious branding effort to really integrate it, because it is part of me, and this book really represents the kind of work I do and my 20 plus years experience in innovation and change.
I love that. I do sometimes think that authors forget to do, I mean, not that you have to rebrand everything down to the color Pantone number, but just the idea that, for instance, I asked an author, I have this question, Helene, that I ask authors. Like, first I say, this is like my complimentary chat call, right? Brainstorming call. I'm like, tell me about your book. And they can talk for 5 minutes nonstop about their book. And I say, great. So can you tell me how that book fits in with your overall business strategy? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, do you have any existing offers that might be a good fit? And often it's a question of just slightly tweaking or rebranding or repackaging something they're already doing. And then maybe a third of the time it's, no, not really. I've been wanting to do this other thing. I'm like, oh, so do you want to figure out the pilot of that before you launch the book? Do you want to be trying to do it at the same time? Or do you want to use the book to fill your pilot? Like, there's a few avenues here. And they're like, I didn't think about any of those things. And Robert, you're all about strategy. So you can imagine my brain's like, okay, so you wrote this whole book, and the book's usually done at this point, Like, have you Okay, backtrack a little bit. So I love the idea that you've been thinking about that piece. And Robert, you're a strategy guy. So now you've got this new tool in your toolbox. You have a book. Is it clear in the book if a reader gets excited about reaching out to you? Do you have emails or bonus content or QR codes or a list of your services? Like, is there anything in the book that helps them find you to continue the conversation?
There is. So we made sure we had a call to action right at the end of the book, so that once the reader at any point decides they want to work or see if we might be a good fit to work together, they have the contact information. So we have that at the end of the book. And then also all throughout our website, we have calls to action that are stemming from the book itself. In fact, we created a page dedicated, to the book launch with that call to action at the bottom, after the description of why the book was written, who's it written for, what it could help you. At the end of that page within our website, we have the call to action. So my email address, phone number, all that good stuff to get a hold of me so that we can actually work together and see if we'd be a good fit to do something together on that.
That's great. And it feels like a combination of you working with a really smart team of book people and the fact that you're a strategy guy. A lot of times, first-time authors, this is a piece that's missed, is they wrote the content, but they didn't really connect the content to the next thing. Biba, your books, as you mentioned, have shifted a little bit to be more about mindset. Is that because the offers, the services you're providing have also tended to shift a little bit in what you want to be putting out into the world? Have you been doing more of that kind of work?
Not really, just because for me, as we know, mindset is very important to have a successful business, probably more than marketing. So the first probably 6 or 7 books were about marketing. But at some point, I realized that if you don't have the right mindset, you can do whatever marketing that you want and it won't work. So for me, the marketing and the fact that I always say to my clients, you don't sell a product or services, you sell an experience or life transformation. So that's really more on the mindset, side. And the mindset books impact a lot of people. Like, for example, as I mentioned, the last 3 books, which is a series of books called Impact Woman. It's really to push women, to push French-speaking women to really start the business. For the one who don't even know that they can start a business because, again, they don't have the right people around them, or they would like to, but they don't dare to do it. They don't want to be visible. They don't want to be seen. And really the book is the best way, because first you write a book, and the book, as you said, has to sell something, but it's easier for people to write a book than instead of just taking a coaching. So they read the book first, and then they realize everything that's what's happening, and then they said, okay, now I think I'm ready, I want to try, so now I'm going to take the coaching. And I just would like to add something what you just said with Robert, is that, and helping also people to write the book for a few years, people don't even think of the offer, don't even think that they should have the offer before the book, and they should see the offer all along the book, not just at the end. And very important things also with the book is to have the call to action at the end, but you need to have the call to action at the very beginning of the book, before the first chapter, because we know that the statistics show that most people don't even read the whole book. So if you expect them to, just because they buy your book, to read the book, to get the call to action, that won't happen. So it's very important for people, and I know you have it to have the call to action at the very beginning of the book. And that's when people start a book, they're so excited about publishing a book that they don't have the right process, and that's the reason why a lot of people don't have success with the book.
Well, 2 takeaways I'm going to get from that. One is, if you surround yourself with other authors, you will learn a lot of things before your book comes out, even if they're not people you're hiring. Just by being around other authors and asking questions and paying attention to how they're launching and what they're doing in their book and asking some questions about it, you'll get a lot. So I have a call to action about downloading the bonus content as one of the first pages after the initial table of contents and the advanced praise stuff. But then I also have the same exact thing as the last page in the book. So the example you had about the percentage of people who finish a book, right? Again, but then throughout, mentioning, the bonus content also has a download checklist or whatever, mentioning that kind of thing throughout. I got better at that for all my books. You know, you do your best for the first book. I was actually curious, Biba, you've got so many different books out in the world. Was there one particular strategy that led to a lot of sales all at once for one of your books, like a spike in sales or a bulk order of book sales? Was there any particular marketing that has helped you make that happen?
Yeah, public speaking, for me, it's one of the best way to sell the book, because of course promote the book all the year, because a lot of people, they promote the book when they launch the book and then they forget about it. They never speak about it. So, but really public speaking is very important. And also that's what I said, it's a marketing tool, because most of the time when people are shy to speak in public or to prospect to be able to speak at or to get booked, then you have a book, then you become an author, people see you differently, and that's helps you also to be able to be booked on stage. And when people, they see you first, they hear you, they like, if they don't like you, they don't like you, but that's fine. But if they like what you say, how you say, they like your energy, then obviously they will buy your book at the end. And from the book, you can go from a book from $20 or 20 euro, doesn't matter, to, I go from 20 euro to 20K as a client. And just because they saw me on stage, and then some of them, they go directly and they don't even, they buy the book, but they decide to do the coaching directly. But others, they have to read the book first, because they will get to know us even more, what we do, how we're doing it, how we serve, you know, the result that we have with clients, and that they have first impression, and then they read the book and say, now that's what I want. And I know she is or he is the person who can help me, the person who has the solution for me. So really for me, it's public speaking.
I mean, a book opens doors. A book opens doors. It speeds up the process of that pipeline. It helps people relate to you and find out like you're credible. You have answers. You understand them. Robert, your book has only been out a couple of months. I'm curious if any doors have already opened, any conversations have happened. You sort of alluded a little bit to this earlier, but you know, just by the fact that people heard you're an author, has that shifted something in the world for you that you wouldn't have expected?
So not quite yet. I think that's on the horizon, Robbie. Given where we are with the book and the fact that it's the first book I've written, but I've got a great team helping me get it out there. So I have noticed, even just as of a couple of nights ago, some of the reactions on LinkedIn, for example, from people that were, you know, prior employers before I launched my own business, or folks that I had, you know, contracts with, have actually kind of started making comments, and there's a shift in the kind of conversation. So one of them, I'm set to start talking about the book and potential partnering opportunities here in the future. So it has, although it's kind of late breaking, but I would expect that it would continue to. Just like you said, it really does open doors, and it sets you as an author or as an expert of that topic. So in this case, strategy. So I have seen that. I have seen the reactions from people within my own network, colleagues, that you know, based on the comments they've given, you know, via LinkedIn or directly phone calls and texts, there's a big shift in perspective. And they in turn have other people in their network that are now more than happy to kind of, you know, refer to me in at least 1 or 2 cases as a result of the book. So
it's still nascent and it's growing, but you have something new to put out into the world that's changing opinions and sharpening people's focus on you. And I'm going to be really excited to have a conversation with you a year from now, Robert, and just see like what transpires, because again, some of the things that you're about to do are around the corner and you can't see them yet. Because the opportunity is not yet been presented to you. Helene, is there something in particular that happened having, now that you know you're a newer author, that you maybe like an opportunity or some sort of doors that were open to you that you wouldn't have had before?
You know what I've been loving is I've been on a lot of podcasts, and since I love to talk about innovation, that's been very interesting conversations. And every time I have those conversations, there's like new thoughts, you know, that kind of come up from that interaction. So I really love those discussions. I've been really enjoying that. And I mean, I've been invited because I have a book. So definitely it's been really enjoyable. And I really love to share what I know and from different, and every every podcaster has a different angle to things.
Yeah.
And we talk about different things. So I really love that.
That's so cool. It is true that as a podcast host myself, before I had this show, I ran On the Schmooze for a long time, 8.5 years. And I would say almost everybody on the show that I invited was an author. I remember there was one person that I met just randomly at a networking event, and I thought she was super smart about networking, and I wanted to have her on. And this person, like, we had trouble figuring out what bio to put for her in her intro because she had no visibility online. She was kind of young in her career, but she was a really smart person. And I remember thinking, like, if you just take a few steps, getting the book written, maybe apply to do a TEDx talk. If you do a few steps in the next few years and you establish yourself, like, a lot of people would want to know you. And I was willing to kind of give her that opening to try to help her get on that right track. But most of the time, we're looking for people who are a little bit proven in their career or in their expertise. And the book is a really quick way for us to be like, oh, well, they have a book? Well, all right, well, then they seem credible. Like, I mean, even if you don't do much more research than that, that's usually enough to open at least the door a little bit. You then have to sometimes push your way through. We're about to get into our closing question. I'm going to come over to Robert first, and we're going to do an ad, and then we're going to come back to you. But the question is, what advice would you give someone writing a book to help them grow their business? So, Robert, I'll come back to you in a second, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. All right, Robert, you're really new to this, but I have a feeling there's a lot of lessons you've learned in the process of writing a book and working with your team. What advice would you share?
So I think first off is I would obviously start with what you know. That's the most organic path that makes things most easy when you're writing a book for the first time. In particular, there's a lot of fears, at least in my own experience. There's a lot of fears and insecurities about, hey, yes, I've been doing this for a long time, but I've never actually written a book about it. So sticking with what I knew and what was heartfelt was a must for me. That allowed ideas to flow more organically. It kind of, trumped some of the insecurities I was feeling. And that got, everything kind of flowing as far as ideas. What did I want to put in the book? What ideas did I want to elaborate on? What did I want to just kind of stay at a high level about? So that's step one. Second thing is, and this is what's great about writing a book, expect to, yes, get your ideas on the book as eloquent and effective as possible, but also expect that you're actually going to learn as a part of writing the book. So, a lot of times I'll have an idea that I want to put forth, but I also try to back that up with some social proof, some statistics, maybe studies that were written about the topic I'm writing about in that particular chapter. And so it actually, I come out learning a little bit more about the ideas I already had, but it expands the understanding. So it's also perfect in that sense. Not only do you get your ideas out on paper and submit them to the world, you also learn and you're stronger as a result of writing the book. The third thing I would say is just be confident. A lot of the books that we write, aren't necessarily new ideas in general. They're ideas and topics that have, in one form or another, have probably been written about. However, it's not the same because it's not your voice. And so kind of take that as a kind of guiding principle. Yes, ideas that ideas of books that have been out there are not new, but my way of saying it is, because my experience is my experience. Whatever corner of the world I have that experience, and it's important to say it my way and within the filter of what what that experience has been. And so that, I think those are the kind of takeaways, especially for writing the book for the first time.
Awesome. And also I would just add, because you've clearly gotten a lot of support, getting the right support for the things you don't know how to do as a first-time author could really be beneficial. So thank you for that, Robert. Biba, I'm going to come to you. What advice do you have for an author who's writing a book to help them grow a business?
I would have 3 tips too. I said, first of all, the people who want to write a book and think about it for months or years, until you don't write and publish the book, you can't impact people. So it means you leave people on the side because you have an expertise that can help people. So that very first thing, so you have to publish the book. The second thing is that you have to think of the strategy, the marketing strategy, even before you start writing the book. You have to think about it even months before, because you have to prepare your marketing plan, not wait until the book is published to contact the press, for example, or to contact organization to do public speaking or others, or organize events. So you have to do this at the same time as you write the book. And then when you publish the book, as Robert mentioned it at the beginning, but it's the same thing. At my first book, I saw that it took me 3 months to write the first book, and I said, okay, work is done. No. That's the easy part, to write a book. The most complicated part is to communicate. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they launch a book, they speak about it for maybe a few weeks or a couple of months, and they did just forget about it. So a book for us as an entrepreneur is really a great marketing tool. And the same thing, we have to have a marketing strategy the whole year long. In 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years. The book that you mentioned, MDR, I wrote it in 2021, and I still continue to do action. I still speak about it, have marketing action about it. That's why I pictured you events also, because that's another great opportunity to have visibilities, and that still bring me clients. So, and some people think that I will write a book to bring the clients. No, it doesn't work that way. If you don't know about marketing, if you don't know how to communicate, it won't change anything, because you won't be able to market. If you don't know how to market your business, you won't know how to market your book. Don't think that just because you wrote the book, people will come. So it's really a long process, and you have to think about it, everything, way before you start writing the first line of the book.
And again, being around other authors will help you think about what those steps are, so that you have a plan in place for how to leverage the book. Helene, I'm going to come to you to round this question out. What's your advice?
So a lot of this, I would totally agree. And the thing I will add, and I think because we had time that change, now there's AI. And so I think a lot of books can be written by AI or whatever, written in 5 minutes if you do a search. So the question is, what are you going to bring that AI cannot bring? And I really believe it's you experience, back to what Robert said. So if you were to write a book today, you want to put those examples, those stories, the way that you felt about it, not just a bunch of 10 things because that you can find in 5 minutes everywhere. And I think we're going to really change some of the book that needs to be written. And I think the book that has successful is a book that really bring our humanity, our unique lived experience.
I love that you underscore the fact that both of you were saying, you and Robert, bringing our voices, our experience, our examples, and the examples of our clients into these stories, so that it's memorable and relatable. This is something that only the author can pull off. This is not an AI generated piece of content. So Helene, how can people find you and follow your work?
So they can find me on my website, fireupinnovation.com. My book is Fire Up Innovation, Sparking and Sustaining Innovation Teams. It is on Amazon, the physical book, and the Kindle, and it's best printed because there's all the practice and visual. It's a highly visual book, but the Kindle is also a great option.
Fantastic. We're going to put all the links, including links to all the books, in the show notes. Biba, how can people find you and follow your work?
Well, the best way to find me is either Facebook or LinkedIn, both in French and in English. And definitely check the book on Amazon, MDR, The Winning Formula for a Successful Life. Luck doesn't exist, you created it.
Fantastic. And Robert, how about you?
Thank you. Similar fashion. So you can find me on our website at newbeaconconsulting.com, or follow me at Robert Aguilar on LinkedIn. If you use New Beacon Consulting or anything Space Force or Air Force, you'll find this Robert Aguilar there on LinkedIn. And you can read also more about the book there, again, at newbeaconconsulting.com. For the book, Forget What You Know About Strategy, The Hazards of Strategic Planning.
Fantastic. We're going to put all the links and all the social links and all the links to the books at bizbookpublishinghub.com, which is where you'll also find more than 50 experts ready to help entrepreneurs become successful authors. We'll guide you through the writing, editing, marketing, all the pieces of a successful book launch. And you'll also find that we host virtual happy hours for writers and authors a few times throughout the year, and information about the Kindle cross promotion campaigns that I run a few times a year. So get all of that at bizbookpublishinghub.com. Thank you, panelists, so much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Robbie.
very much. Appreciate